I am sick of hearing how big tech is using my data to track me, to manipulate me, and to generally harass me. And because I like carrying this little pocket computer around with me everywhere I go, I needed to find a way to cut them off. And boy, has this been an eye-opener. So let's talk about that. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas, and this is GrapheneOS, a version of Android designed purely for security and for privacy. No, it doesn't come with loads of pre-installed bloat, kind of the opposite, but also no, it's not a super stripped down version of stock Android. It has some serious, and I really do mean serious, security features. I installed it on my Pixel here, and I'll be totally honest with you guys, I felt like a bit of a hacker during my time with this thing, so let's dive into GrapheneOS. I've heard about GrapheneOS before, but actually going through and installing it, reading through their website, properly digging into it really drives home that this isn't some sort of gimmick or overly dramatic but basic software skin. This thing means business. It's a full version of Android based on AOSP, or the Android open source project, that you have to manually flash to your phone. This isn't an app you can download and just install. It comes with a very limited set of first-party applications once it's loaded, and critically does not come with the Play services installed out of the box. These are responsible for running Google's first-party apps like Gmail and YouTube, but also many other apps lean on Google Play services to work. Thankfully, you can install these via GrapheneOS's built-in app store, but instead of Play services then having free reign of all of your data as they would on any other version of Android, it runs in a sandbox, and GrapheneOS sort of puts walls around it. So you can pick the data that Google does get to see and not anything else. Half the reason that people want software like this, like GrapheneOS, is to escape that constant data scraping and privacy concerns that companies like Google force on us, and this is a great option to have. There are many other features here that you can read about in the GrapheneOS.org page, which I do recommend you check out, but a couple of my personal favourites revolve around pin codes. So you can enable a pin scrambler, which basically, for your lock screen, will randomize the pin screens each time, so that when you load your phone up, people trying to read your finger movements or maybe even try and see the grease on your phone screen are going to have a way harder time tracking your pin code because they're going to be in different spots. On top of that, you can also enable a multi-factor authentication to log into your phone. Really smart if someone might guess your PIN code. And then there's even the option where you can enter a password that will completely wipe the data and the eSIM on your phone. Like a big, kill switch, shut her down kind of button. If you think that you're going to be entering an environment where someone might be able to take your phone or access your data, you enter this code and then bam, that's it. Your phone is wiped. If it wasn't obvious just how security focused this software is by now, the fact that Edward Snowden himself advocates for it has to be the cherry on the top. You can have the phone reboot every so often so it wipes the cache. You can set scopes for basically every single application so that they can only see specific folders in specific directories if you want to. Installing the OS itself is relatively straightforward. You enable OEM unlocking on your Pixel via the developer options. You reboot into fast boot by pressing the volume down key on startup. You plug your phone in using a supported browser like Google Chrome and go to GrapheneOS.org. You click to the web UI, which is very easy, an interface to follow, where it will connect to the phone, download and flash that system image, and then even prompt you to relock the bootloader and then also disable OEM unlocking once you're back in the phone, so you are as secure as possible from start to finish. No drivers, no software to download. That's kind of the beauty of this. It is pretty easy to do. The installation wizard on the phone itself is pretty normal, apart from a couple of things. One are that hard and fast options for permissions. They are there, you are not getting around those. And two, there's no Google to log into because of course there are no Google Play services on the phone by default. Once you connect it to Wi-Fi, there really isn't much to do between that and the end of the installation process. You can then go into the stock app store, which is one of very few apps installed on the phone already. You can install the Play Store, install Google Play services, which run in that sandbox as I mentioned earlier. There are a couple more App Store options, believe it or not, F-Droid and Aurora being the popular options among the community. You could of course use, APKs individually, sideload them yourself, and I feel like if you're tinkery enough to install GrapheneOS, you'll probably know what you're doing when it comes to avoiding malware online, but maybe that's a bold presumption by me. But if you're new to this sort of thing, there's so much guidance, not only on the installation process with the setup page, but also GrapheneOS has a discussion forum, a dedicated website for this stuff, for troubleshooting and tech tips, along with official Discord, Telegram and Matrix chat rooms. So you're not on your own, even once you've already got it installed. Once you've completed the setup, you're left with a phone that feels pretty bare bones, but gives you everything you need and ultimately feels incredibly hackery, even though that's a word that I just made up. Honestly, GrapheneOS as a whole feels like the sort of thing Elliot from Mr. Robot would use. It's just so privacy focused, so intent on stopping snooping, and I honestly applaud the work the team has put into this software. It's a shame it's only available on Tensor-powered Pixels right now, but in a sense it's also kind of hilarious because those are meant to be the smartest phones on the market, the ones that take all of your data and provide you a crazy experience. It is kind of poetic how taking GrapheneOS, putting it on a Tensor Pixel really does stunt all of that stuff. But I think the fact it is limited in these present moments to those pixels is kind of a shame, because it feels like buying like a second-hand Galaxy phone or something, a mid-range option for $150, $200, and then installing this OS would be a fantastic extra phone for your most precious data and communications. Which does sort of sound like I'm suggesting that this be used for something nefarious. Not my intention. Perhaps the needs of criminals these days aren't too far from the needs of our own. Okay, that might be a bit off topic. Look, this isn't the solution for everyone, even myself. I am not a GrapheneOS kind of user the same way I cannot main Linux. I just like my stuff to show up and work, and if it takes some of my data, I'll have to live with it. But if you do want to flip the bird to big tech, buying a second-hand Google Pixel on eBay and installing GrapheneOS might just be the best way to do it. Guys, let me know if you're on GrapheneOS or if you've used it in the past. I'll be honest, it's a bit too hardcore for me. I'm one of those billions who just kind of pays for convenience over privacy, though I do feel a little shame in saying that, to be totally honest. Let me know your setups in the comments section. Do you have another custom ROM, or have you built your own ROM? Why not? Let us know in the comments. And whilst you're down there, be sure to hit like if you enjoyed today's content and subscribe to never miss another upload. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Ryan Thomas, and I will catch you later. Cheers.